Hey, what's up guys? Books Nelson here, back with another video, and we have a different kind of vid today. I want to talk about what's in the market, not from a commentary standpoint about if it's right or wrong, but just really for those of you who are spending resources, be they MT or VC, whatever it is, whether or not you should pull the packs. Because the bottom line is, with everything locked behind the gambling, if you go in hard every single week, you're going to come out a loser, right? Unless you're just spending a ton of money. But if you have a lot of MT and you want to get the most out of it, you want to push and pull, right? So let's get right into the content and talk about this concept, because there's something about these GOAT cards that I want you guys to really think about here. So this week, right, I would actually say all of these dark matters are solid and usable. And Mo Bamba is probably a pretty good Galaxy Opal. I don't know how good DFS is, and Fisher and Nick Batum are, very mid at very best, right? Now, the dark matters, you have Beasley, who is probably the second best shooting guard in the game, arguably the top, right? At worst, probably the third, but he's anywhere in the top three, right? Draymond Green. So Draymond Green actually does serve a really good purpose. Draymond Green has great dribbles. He has a few good moving shots. If people are running cards like Shaq or Jokic, Draymond is just by his nature going to neutralize a lot of that advantage. Artest, absolutely fantastic. And De'Aaron Fox is actually a good small guard. If you hate small guards, then you hate De'Aaron Fox. But if you do play small guards, I think De'Aaron Fox is right in line with any of them. Whoever your favorite small guard is, and by small, I mean 6'3" and under, right? At 6'4", I start to have a different opinion. But 6'3" and under, I think De'Aaron Fox is in that group. Okay. But what else is happening? We don't count 100 overall Clay because he's going to be extremely rare. But then you have all of these Shaqs, right? So if we look at these Shaqs, Shaq can't shoot, right? Only 2 Shaqs have a high enough rating to hit consistently, but his shot is so slow that it's not really a viable shot, right? He is a liability from the perimeter. The shot can technically go in, but the release isn't smooth, the release doesn't feel good, the release isn't fast, all that other good stuff. And it's not a high rating. Night and day from a guy like Artest Gilmore, who doesn't have a high rating, but has an absolutely perfect butter release, right? I bring all of this up to say, when you look at Shaq and you look at what's wrong with him, he has several positions that he's just not super good at, right? Like shooting guard, small forward. I think he's okay at center, but really, if you're cheesing with him at the point guard, that's one of the better advantages. And maybe, as a defensive card at the power forward spot, sitting in the corner and occasionally bull rushing to the basket, that's an advantage. But at the center position, the thing that he would arguably be best at, which is paint mashing, he's going to have to go up against taller cards, and paint mashing is just flat out weaker against taller cards. So this is not a great, GOAT card, but there are some positions that are weaker than others. Why am I saying this? Because if you go to last week, right? Let's look at this for a moment. The same thing was true of Larry Bird, right? So you look at Larry Bird, so Larry Bird is a good card. He is a difficult card. You have to get used to his shot. But once you do get used to his shot, if you get used to Larry Bird's whole bag, I do think Larry Bird is in the upper range of cards at his respective positions. I do think Larry Bird is more of a 2-3, and then lastly a 4. Don't love him at the point guard, because the thing that's weakest about Larry is that his shot isn't that fast. So what's the running theme here? Every GOAT card is not going to be good at every position, right? Now, I know you guys, breaking news, of course not. But think about this. They want people to pull packs to get these GOAT cards. So my theory is we are not going to see too many small GOAT cards, because no matter what, a small GOAT card is troll at 3 positions minimum, right? And when I say small, I actually mean 6'6" and under. I can't think of a card 6'6" that I would play at the 3 that would be in the GOAT conversation, right? Because all of these GOAT cards are going to be like top 20 NBA players. So, and we'll get to the punchline of all of this in a second. But say, and I don't think they're going to do a GOAT card version of him because they did a free dark matter. But say Steph Curry, would qualify. Michael Jordan would qualify. Kobe, if he wasn't having the issues, would qualify. So with Michael Jordan, when he drops, his 100 overall is probably going to have Patty Base, and he's going to be one of the best cards in the game. But all of the rest of the cards are going to stink the way all of the rest of the Michael Jordan cards stink in terms of being at the top of the meta. Is he a usable card? Yes, but he's not, really good at his position compared to many, many other cards, right? Because of his release. So what I think is some of the taller cards are going to be more of the showcase than some of the smaller cards, because the smaller cards have less value and encourage less pulling, right? Larry Bird was known to be a good small forward back when he was a dark matter before. So it's reasonable to understand that 2K is like, yeah, people will pull for Larry Bird because he's a popular player. And there are going to be some people from 1 to 4 are very comfortable with Larry Bird. The only position that he's a flat out bum at is center. So there's really only one true troll card. I wouldn't call any of these other cards troll cards, right? With Shaq, I don't know how many of them I would call troll cards. I think Shaq, in and of himself, he has his own issues, but he is him being a troll card is really just the fact that none of his cards have a good release. They all have the same weakness. So with Shaq and this theory about these taller cards, guys like Tim Duncan, who hasn't really been highlighted, right? He got the 100 overall. Maybe later in the season, you'll see Tim Duncan. You know who's another guy who hasn't been highlighted? Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain hasn't gotten a card since the Opal. So specifically for this week, if you like what Shaq brings to the table, Wilt Chamberlain is all of those things with a better jump shot and a better character model. I would be a little bit surprised if we don't get a Wilt, if we don't get a Hakeem, right? We haven't seen a Hakeem since the Opal last I checked, right? So think about all of these cards that are in the GOAT conversation that are 6, 7, and above, and go, oh, okay, LeBron James, right? Will they do that? I know but a lot of these cards already have 100 overalls and dark matters and stuff like that. So LeBron, he's in the GOAT conversation. You're probably going to get a LeBron. So knowing that those cards are probably coming in a week where you get a troll GOAT card, I would say either don't touch your currency at all, or just maybe lock in the collection and keep it moving, or set a low amount, right? You're going to pull, if you're a millionaire in terms of MT, maybe you pull 200,000 because you'll get that back for the next week, something like that. So I wanted to bring that concept to you guys. And the last thing I'll say is with these dark matters, another concept, just to think about how 2K releases stuff. So Draymond is not that big at the point guard at 6'6". He's good, but it's whatever. And he's a small guard. So the two cards you're looking at are Ron Artest and Michael Beasley. Now, Michael Beasley is amazing, right? And Ron Artest is amazing. However, Ron Artest is nearly identical to his Opal. And his Opal still plays. And guys, I have Dr. J. I've played with Glenn Rice. I've played with Michael Beasley, right? Like, I have the Opal Ron Artest, and I'm telling you, I cannot personally feel a serious difference between the two cards. You look at the stats, standing dunk plus 10. I'm telling you, if somebody's 6'7", that standing dunk, as long as they're 75 or above, they're going to do it. Is this a little bit better? Maybe. I don't know. Like, not that big of a deal, right? And how much are you really standing dunk with this card anyway? He has a 95 driving dunk by default. That means it can be a 99 with a shoot. So this +3 is irrelevant because you're already going to get a big green meter. Defensively, +1s in a few areas. Athletically, +1s and a +2 all can be covered with a shoot. He doesn't have any stats. And here's the thing. Normally I would say, well, you can't put a shoe on everything, right? But the thing is, everything Ron has is in the mid to high 90s. So you don't have to cover him for anything, right? You don't have to cover him with a shoe anywhere. So anywhere you want Ron to basically be 100 overall, you can just decide. He's already 100 overall on defense. I'm going to do that athletically and touch him up with the shooting, and you're done, right? So realistically, these two cards are pretty much identical. They are identical in terms of animations. There are a few badges here and there that they have, but again, I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal, because really with Ron Artest, you're hitting that behind the back and you're shooting, and it's going to be just as effective with the Opal as it is with this dark matter, right? You're crossing people up and stick dunking on them. it's going to be just as effective with the opal as it is with the dark matter. They're nearly identical. And why do I bring that up? Because the chance of them putting this Ron Artest out as a reward or buyable with MT after this Ron is out of the market is probably pretty high, right? Like we see a lot of these cards come out later. They just put out Jason Tatum, right? So a lot of these cards now are starting to come out in the, VC buyable sort of situation. So it's like if you go all in because you want this Ron Artest and then they release it 2 weeks later, they release the opal, it's the same card. You kind of took a big L right there for no reason. When the LeBron James comes out, you want to go in on that LeBron James and be like, okay, I'm going to risk a lot of my currency because I want to play with this LeBron or whatever card, you know what I mean? Whoever it may be, Tim Duncan, or, I think Wilt is probably going to be a big one. I wouldn't be surprised if Wilt is soon. I don't know if they'll do back-to-back centers. Maybe next week we get Magic Johnson or something like that, because Magic will be, he can play 1 through 4, but he also has a troll release, so it'll be similar to Shaq, but he'll be a big point guard. A lot of people get excited about that. But don't be surprised if Wilt is like the week after or the week after that. And I think it's just wise to be ready to strike when you have a lot to gain. And the thing about this collection that I don't like in terms of going in is essentially it's really one card. Because the rest of these cards are fine, but all replaceable. These are all replaceable cards. Ron in particular, and I think Ron is absolutely fantastic. The one thing I say about Ron is because he's so close to his opal, virtually identical, I challenge anybody who plays both cards to tell me you feel a serious difference. Because I view Ron as flawless, basically, right? I think they're going to put out the opal Ron relatively soon. I think you'll get them somehow, some way, be it a locker code or, you know what I'm saying? Like one of the rewards, triple threat, he'll be somewhere. The weekly MT, VC, if you wanted to get the Ron Artest straight up. So Beasley is the only card that fits the criteria of being good, rare, absolutely excellent. However, pulling packs to get one card is extremely foolish, especially when there are so many Shaqs in there blocking you from the Beasley. Shout out to everybody who got Beasley. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying if you're going to do that kind of thing, give it a shot. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't, but walk away. So that's the concept I wanted to share with you guys in terms of going in on these collections. Because if you're still playing the game and you want to have a really good time in the game and you don't want to go broke every single week, and when I say go broke, I mean even including MT, I do think you have to be wise about how you're going in, and you want to really think about what 2K has put out and what they're going to put out, what they have to put out. And with these GOAT cards, and I'll close it with this, because they play all of the positions, I don't know if they can afford to troll with the GOAT cards. If they troll with the GOAT cards, that's going to be a week where probably every dark matter is good, right? So everybody's going to be Michael. It's going to be like 3 Beasleys and 1 troll card or something like that. So I just wanted to share that concept with you guys. Let me know what you think of this kind of content, really just talking about the market and what might be coming out and that sort of thing. And thanks for rocking with me as always. Please like and subscribe. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.